Welcome to the Drowsy Science channel, and hello. We'll be floating far below the seas tonight, in a realm where mysteries grow and sunlight wanes. The hues soften, the water cools, and life takes on unimaginable forms down below. The majority of our world is covered by an alien realm beneath the glistening surface of the ocean. However, we have only touched on a small portion of it. In the darkness, mountains taller than Everest grow unseen. The swaying coral forests are like living cathedrals. Whales use songs that predate language to communicate over vast oceans, and life glows softly in the deepest pits where no light has ever touched. I encourage you to like, subscribe, or leave a comment below if you appreciate these peaceful excursions. It also makes it easier for others to find their way here. One drowsy person at a time. Just breathe for the moment. Allow your eyes to swell, and allow your mind to be cradled by the deep sea. Let's get started. There are jellyfish that are practically immortal. A species that has managed to virtually halt aging dwells in the silent depths of the sea, where time appears to bend and twist upon itself. Teratopsis dohrnii is a microscopic jellyfish that starts out as a drifting speck, matures into an adult, and then miraculously reverses itself in the face of stress, damage, or old age. Its cells change, reversing time to a previous phase of existence. It regains its youth and is prepared to begin a new cycle. It is known as biological immortality by scientists. No other animal on the planet has mastered this technique to such a high degree. Many jellyfish are delicate and only live for a few months, but this one's translucent body holds the key to perpetual rejuvenation, a cycle of rebirth and death that mimics the actual tides. Instead of defeating time, it gently and eternally dances with it, always going back to the beginning. The eyes of giant squids are as big as dinner plates. The gigantic squid floats silently far below the sea, where darkness rules supreme. With remarkable sensitivity, its eyes, each as big as a dinner plate, gaze into the darkness. In the animal realm, these are the biggest eyeballs that are known to exist. Human head-sized windows that are adjusted to capture even the smallest glimmers of light. They evolved, according to scientists, to detect the light of massive predators, such as sperm whales, that were swimming across the abyss. They can even be reached by the fleeting gleam of bioluminescence agitated by movement. Sight is life in that never-ending twilight, and these enormous eyeballs provide vision where practically none should be. The huge squid was merely a mythology among sailors for generations, appearing in tales of hideous tentacles and terrifying shipwrecks. The reality, however, is even more bizarre. With eyes designed for darkness, this enormous, intelligent creature of the deep was ideally suited to a world without sunlight. With their limbs, octopuses are able to taste. Each arm of an octopus has its own mind. Hundreds of suction cups line each one. Clusters of sensory cells that have the ability to taste their surroundings are located inside those tiny circular mouths. An octopus is doing more than just feeling when it stretches into a crack or glides over coral. It is sampling its environment's chemicals. It can quickly determine whether something it touches is a living prey, a stone, or a shell. Its body turns into a sensory map. Furthermore, its arms are capable of autonomous action, exploring and responding even in the absence of direct brain commands. The octopus appears to be composed of 8 inquisitive adventurers who collaborate gracefully. The octopus has a sort of extraterrestrial grace because of this peculiar distribution of intelligence, where the mind flows through muscle. It thinks differently than we do. It senses, tastes, and makes a decision, all over, all at once. The blow of a mantis shrimp is as quick as a bullet. A small predator with a loud secret hides in coral burrows. With claws that strike with lightning speed, the mantis shrimp is as brilliant as a living gem. Its limbs move so quickly during an attack that they produce a pocket of extremely hot vapor in the water. A shock wave powerful enough to break glass, shells, or crab exoskeletons is created when that bubble bursts. These strikes, which are delivered by a critter that is only a few inches long, have been measured by scientists at speeds that are almost identical to a pistol bullet. Even a modest underwater explosion and a brief flash of light are produced by the hit. In contrast, the eyes of the mantis shrimp are some of the most sophisticated in the natural world, able to see polarized and ultraviolet light that is beyond human comprehension. It inhabits a rainbow universe that is invisible to us. Sea cucumbers can defend themselves by ejecting their organs because they have the speed of thunder and the vision of a deity, a little spark of cosmic power. The common sea cucumber appears calm, slow, and unassuming on the seafloor. However, it employs one of the most peculiar defense mechanisms in the animal kingdom when it feels threatened. A portion of its own interior is expelled. Its internal organs are released into the water by a rapid muscular contraction, creating a sticky, tangled mess that entangles and perplexes predators. Toxic filaments that can paralyze small fish are even released by some. It appears to be an act of self-destruction to the naked eye. For the sea cucumber, however, it represents rebirth. It grows back all it lost in a matter of weeks. The intestines, the stomach, everything. There is more to this amazing rejuvenation than just survival. It's change. It seems as though the creature views danger as a signal to start over rather than as a conclusion. It rebuilds itself from the inside out, slowly and methodically. Beneath the silent seas, a real example of perseverance. The sounds that blue whales make can be heard for hundreds of miles. The voices of the blue whale, the largest animal to have ever inhabited the world, are so deep that they reverberate through the planet's bones. Their low-pitched sounds, which roll and fade like distant thunder, can travel hundreds of miles through the chilly water. Some of these sounds are so low that they are hardly perceptible to human hearing, but to other whales they provide a map of presence, a means of communicating, "I am here," across the emptiness of the sea. Long, melancholy pulses that can be used for courtship, communication, or navigation are unique to each whale. Their melody acts as a sort of underwater weather in the quiet of the deep, influencing the movements and reactions of other animals. The thought is astounding. These giants sing to each other across whole oceans. Through a fluid world older than memory itself, their sounds reverberate. Male anglerfish permanently merge into females. The anglerfish carries its own lantern, a live lure that glows with bacterial light in the shadowy depths of the abyss. Its love, more than its light, is its most peculiar enigma. The male of many species is small, delicate, and fleeting. He bites her side and won't release go until he finds a female, which may take months in the wide blackness. Their bodies merge over time. His bloodstream combines with hers as his organs wither. He becomes an inseparable part of her, feeding off her body in exchange for sperm when needed. Along their flanks, some females bear many fused males, which are little living companions. A biological marriage unlike any other in the animal kingdom results from what started out as a search for a partner. A faint, timeless light illuminates the silent blending of two lives in the dark. Dolphins use their whistles to give themselves distinctive names. The dolphin's voice is one of the most evocative sounds that reverberate throughout the ocean. Every person produces a unique whistle, a series of sounds that serves as a sort of moniker. These distinctive whistles are used by dolphins to identify themselves and to communicate with loved ones across long distances. It is invention rather than imitation. Even calves who are still swimming next to their mothers come up with their own names. According to research, dolphins respond immediately and recognize themselves when they hear their own whistle played back over speakers. People may remember these names for years or even decades. They disclose a remarkable aspect of dolphin intelligence, a feeling of self, memory, and social awareness that makes it difficult to distinguish between language and animal communication. Every dolphin has a unique symphony in the ocean's glistening blue. A song, simply and clearly, "I am me." Living sponges are used by some crabs to adorn themselves. In the ocean, camouflage is an art form, and decorator crabs are among the most inventive artists. These microscopic crustaceans connect fragments of sponge, seaweed, coral, or shell to tiny hairs on their shells that resemble hooks. The end effect is a living disguise that adapts to its environment. To encourage them to grow over the carapace like living armor, some even trim sponges to the ideal fit. A symbiotic relationship is possible. The crab is shielded from predators, and the sponge is given mobility and access to new feeding grounds. Like a tiny aquatic fashion designer, each crab has a distinct decorating style that combines instinct and surroundings. Researchers have discovered species that use their stinging tentacles as weapons and carry sea anemones on their claws. Adapting to the environment is frequently necessary for surviving beneath the seas, and adaptation has become an art form for these ingenious crabs. The only species in which males give birth is seahorses. The seahorse, fragile as a dream, floats upright in the soft swing of seagrass meadows. In terms of reproduction, it adheres to a norm that is unique to nature. The man is the one who conceives. The female places her eggs in a specific pouch on the male's belly during a courtship dance, in which they curl their tails and move in unison. He fertilizes and raises them there, regulating the salinity and temperature and delivering oxygen via a system of blood arteries. Hundreds of tiny, perfectly formed seahorses are released into the ocean when he goes into labor after a few weeks. The cycle then restarts. This job reversal, according to scientists, evolved as a means of improving survival. The burden of creation is shared by both parents. The seahorse is a tiny representation of balance, patience, and tenderness in that peaceful undersea environment. Evidence of the limitless ingenuity of nature. The lifespan of a Greenland shark is more than 400 years. An organism older than any tree living today floats in the frigid North Atlantic waters. With a languid heartbeat that occurs hardly every 12 seconds, the Greenland shark glides slowly. They are the longest living vertebrates on Earth, with some individuals being over 400 years old, according to scientific dating. The planet was still in the Shakespearean era when these sharks were born. They grow only a few centimeters a year, while spending generations traveling in frigid darkness and primarily consuming fish and seals. Their fresh flesh, which contains substances that function similarly to antifreeze, is poisonous. For people to safely consume it, it needs to be fermented. It's still unclear how a creature can survive for so long. Maybe life itself is slowed down by their cold surroundings. The Greenland shark glides through centuries with hushed ancient serenity, a patient ghost in that deep, timeless ocean. The teeth of deep-sea dragonfish are translucent. The dragonfish, sleek, black, and luminous with spooky lights down its flanks, is a spectre of the depths. However, its most peculiar characteristic is the completely translucent teeth inside its mouth. Because of its unique crystalline structure, which virtually eliminates light reflection, the dragonfish may stay undetectable even while its jaws are open. This stealth offers it an unparalleled advantage in the deep sea's darkness. Without even the slightest gleam indicating its presence, it can lunge at prey. In order to draw in unwary prey, the dragonfish also carries a bioluminescent lure that hangs from its chin and glows dimly. It is quick, quiet, and accurate when it hits. These organisms flourish in depths where steel would be crushed by pressure. Equipped with both light and invisibility, the dragonfish is a master of adaptability crafted by darkness itself, able to function as both a hunter and a ghost in a world of perpetual night. Some fish have modified fins that allow them to walk on land. Some fish have practically stepped over the sea because they believe that nature loves to dissolve borders. For example, the mudskipper spends a large portion of its life above the water, crawling, hopping, and even climbing mangrove roots with its powerful fins. Because of the blood veins lining its mouth and skin, it can directly take in oxygen from the atmosphere. Others, such as the climbing perch, can squirm for miles across arid terrain in pursuit of fresh ponds. This movement can be the difference between suffocation and survival in tropical wetlands. It is odd to watch one move, the graceful swimming being replaced by a humorous, resolute shuffle. This capability, however, might be reminiscent of the time, hundreds of millions of years ago, when the first fish-like organisms landed on land, giving rise to amphibians, reptiles, and ultimately humans. Then, each mudskipper bears a memory of the most audacious move in evolution. Horses can be stunned by electric eels' powerful shocks. There is a creature that orders lightning that dwells in the muddy rivers of South America. Within specialized cells known as electrolytes, the electric eel, which is actually a type of knife fish, produces strong electric fields. These cells together release jolts up to 600 volts when it feels threatened or is hunting. Enough to light a series of light bulbs or render a horse senseless. The shock stuns wildlife and deters predators since it immediately passes through water. The eel's ability to vary its current utilizing high-voltage bursts for striking and low-voltage pulses for communication and navigation is even more amazing. Its fast pulses cause the praising muscles to tense wildly, immobilizing the fish entirely when it is wrapped around it. This living battery has improved in accuracy as well as power. A biological weapon, skin-encased thunderstorm. The spark of electricity itself is carried by the eel in its peaceful river habitat. The tongue of a blue whale is as heavy as an elephant. The blue whale is an enormous, placid, and unfathomably big living monument. It may weigh as much as an adult elephant just by using its tongue. And it has a tiny car-sized heart. However, in spite of its size, this gentle giant eats shrimp-like krill that are smaller than a fingernail. The whale filters millions of krill in a single meal by consuming huge mouthfuls of seawater and then expelling it out through baleen plates. A blue whale can eat several tons of krill per day during feeding season. It may travel over entire oceans with its booming, deep voice. Additionally, even though its heart beats slowly, sometimes just once every 10 seconds, each beat gives life to the biggest body ever discovered. In addition to being huge, the blue whale is a living continent of serene strength and boundless grace, an ocean in motion. Rather than using ink, vampire squids use clouds of illuminating mucus. The vampire squid floats like a living spark in the ocean's magnetic zone, where sunlight never reaches. It doesn't consume blood, despite its name. Its deep crimson color and dark cloak-like netting give it its name. It has a unique protective trick when it feels threatened. It emits a cloud of luminous mucus that shimmers with blue bioluminescence in place of black ink. Predators are diverted by the light, which allows the squid to disappear into the night. Its body lights dimly and pulses, fading in and out like sluggish breathing, and its delicate arms are laced with organs that produce light. It survives where most other species cannot by living in some of the lowest oxygen settings on Earth. The vampire squid is an ancient lineage survivor rather than a monster. A creature of silent endurance, adrift in the sea's never-ending night, shrouded in light and shade. The bubble produced by the pistol shrimp is louder than a jet engine. With one of the most amazing weapons in the animal kingdom, the pistol shrimp is small enough to fit in your hand. It slams water together so quickly that a vapor bubble is formed with a swift snap of its specialized claw. A shockwave created when this bubble bursts creates a sound louder than a jet engine and briefly reaches temperatures as hot as the sun's surface. The blast has enough power to either kill or disable adjacent prey. Even more amazing is the sonoluminescence, a brief burst of light produced when the bubble collapses. The pistol shrimp utilizes its claw to communicate by making audible clicks and bursts, in addition to using it as a weapon. Its staccato rhythm reverberates throughout coral reefs like gentle gunfire, serving as a reminder that even the tiniest claws can conceal force. Certain worms entangle prey by forming live knots. The ribbon worms are a group of predators that live in the deep ocean, where color and light vanish completely. They have incredible hunting equipment, a proboscis that can shoot from their lips like a harpoon. They are also slender, graceful, and frequently longer than a person. In certain species, this proboscis unfurls into sticky threads that tie prey in a living smear by twisting and knotting around it. The worm swallows its prey whole after capturing it by pulling it inward. Venom from certain species is potent enough to instantaneously subdue crustaceans. It is both unsettling and captivating to watch a ribbon worm feed. Slowly, across the darkness, a ballet of tendrils. These animals serve as a reminder that the inventiveness of evolution is limitless. It takes creativity to survive in the abyss, and even the most basic bodies are capable of the most intricate acts of elegance and strategy. Sea turtles are able to sense the magnetic field of the planet. Sea turtles migrate across entire oceans every year, returning to their birth beaches with remarkable accuracy. How they manage to travel such great distances across the featureless sea has long baffled scientists. There is an unseen sense to the solution: magnetic separation. As if it were a map, sea turtles are able to interpret the Earth's magnetic field. They receive clues about latitude and longitude from little changes in angle and intensity. When released into the waves for the first time, even hatchlings use this internal compass to find their way toward the wide ocean. The same turtles will return to their birthplace decades later to lay their own eggs. Their biology has a navigation system built into it that links them to the Earth. They follow a course marked by the magnetism of the Earth's heart, rather than stars in a world of drifting tides. In the dark, several sharks emit a green glow. Some sharks start to glow when the sun's light fades into the ocean. Under blue ocean light, the skin of certain species, like swell sharks and chain cat sharks, fluoresces a gentle green. This glow is caused by chemicals in the shark's skin that absorb and re-emit light at various wavelengths, not by bioluminescent microorganisms. It appears as a faint shimmer to the naked eye. It might be a brilliant signal to other sharks, allowing them to recognize one another in low light. Each species has a distinct glow pattern that creates living constellations that float through the ocean. This fluorescence, according to scientists, may also help the sharks blend in with the dim light from above. Unnoticeable until the proper light reveals it, it is a subtle brilliance. A color-coded secret language written in the dark. Only the most graceful hunters of the deep can speak it. The head of the hardy fish is translucent. Consider a fish with a glass-clear skull. Through a transparent dome of skin and bone, the barrel's bulbous green eyes gaze skyward as it hovers in the dark depths. Because those eyeballs can rotate inside their heads, they can glance up and forward at the same time, searching for prey that is silhouetted against the dim light above. The head, which is full of glistening organs, glows faintly, while the rest of the body is tiny and delicate. Scientists believed the barrelized eyes were permanent for years. Cameras have only recently shown their actual movement. Because of their adaptability, they can hover still and save energy in the deep, cold, and calm. Their favorite diet, jellyfish, have stinging tentacles, but the translucent dome shields their delicate vision from them. It's a strangely lovely creature, a living window that appears to be the ocean looking back at itself. Only a few eels travel thousands of miles to spawn. A tale of mystery is the life of an eel. Young eels are born in the deepest recesses of the Sargasso Sea and spend years floating on ocean currents before arriving in rivers in North America, Africa, or Europe. There they develop into sleek, muscular adults after growing and feeding as transparent larvae. Something ancient stirs inside them when it's time to procreate. In order to spawn and die, they cease eating, turn silver, and embark on a last trek of thousands of miles against the current back to the open sea. The spawning of an eel in the wild has never been observed. Naturalists were perplexed by their reproduction for generations. Their precise trajectories are yet partially unknown, The life of the eel is a cycle of mystery and change, an oceanic and temporal migration that ends where it started, in the silent cradle of the deep. At depth, blobfish appear normal, but at the surface, they melt. Often referred to as the ugliest animal, the blobfish has evolved into a sort of comedy icon. However, its appearance is misinterpreted. The gelatinous body of the blobfish is well suited to the crushing pressure of the deep ocean, which is thousands of feet below the surface. It depends on soft, jelly-like flesh that is equal to the density of salt water instead of a swim bladder, which is the gas-filled organ that most fish employ to regulate buoyancy. Because of this, it may float smoothly just above the ocean floor. However, the abrupt reduction in pressure that occurs when it is brought to the surface causes its body to expand and lose shape, giving it the sagging, blobby appearance that we are familiar with. It is a sleek, graceful creature in its natural habitat. The blobfish serves as a reminder of how context shapes beauty and how the mechanics of their hidden world can make even the most bizarre forms lovely where they belong. From a single arm, some starfish can regenerate their complete body. The sea star, or starfish, has a secret that allows for almost miraculous regeneration. One can fully recover an arm that has been torn away by a predator or a storm. If a portion of the central disc is still there, a single severed arm in certain species can develop into an entirely new animal. Everything is restored during this procedure, which may take months or years. Movement is accomplished by nerves, muscles, skin, and even the microscopic tube feet. Researchers investigate these capacities to learn how regeneration can one day aid in the healing of missing tissue or spinal injuries in people. The starfish's power comes from its straightforward, resilient, decentralized, and always regenerating design. Regeneration is common beneath the waves. It's a tactic. Patience is necessary for the starfish to survive. Every piece that is gone becomes a fresh start, a silent reminder of nature's unending desire to mend what was damaged. Hagfish can obstruct a predator's gills with their slime. Hagfish are among the most peculiar sea critters, ancient, without a jaw, and unbelievably slimy. Hundreds of microscopic pores all throughout its body release clouds of mucus when it feels threatened. The surrounding water thickens and solidifies in a matter of seconds, obstructing the gills of any fish that could attack. In order to remove its own slime and make its getaway, the hagfish then knots itself and slides the loop around its body. Its defense is as inventive as it is hideous. An almost instantaneous expansion from a teaspoon to liters of goo is possible with this natural non-Newtonian fluid. As scavengers, hagfish consume dead or dying creatures that sink to the bottom of the ocean. They recycle nutrients back into the ecosystem by slipping inside carcasses and feeding from within. Yes, they are ugly, but they are vital old survivors, hidden in patience and slime, unaltered for hundreds of millions of years. In reality, narwhal tusks are enormous spiral teeth. The narwhal, a whale that appears to be carved from myth, swims in the frigid waters of the Arctic. The length of its long, twisting tusk can approach 3 meters. However, this spear of ivory is not a horn. It is a long tooth, typically the left canine, that gracefully twists into the top lip. It is one of the most sensitive organs in the animal kingdom because of the millions of nerve endings inside. It could be used by narwhals to perceive changes in water temperature, pressure, or salinity, and possibly even to communicate. While females occasionally have no tusks, some males have 2. Under the ice, their gatherings are silent, punctuated by whistles and clicks. Their tusks shine like frozen lightning in the pale northern seas, serving as a reminder that even the most bizarre patterns in nature have a function concealed in their beauty. For protection, some fish sleep inside mucus bubbles. The parrotfish has a daily sleep ritual among coral reefs. A translucent cocoon of mucus is secreted when dusk falls, enveloping its body like a shimmering sleeping bag. This bubble may even serve as an alert, concealing its scent from potential predators like moray eels. The fish are awakened by vibrations from impending danger that reverberate throughout the movie. Additionally, the bubble protects the parrotfish from parasites that float in the nighttime water. It just slips free and swims away in the morning. According to scientists, this nightly pattern developed as a clever protection mechanism, a gentle, self-made wall separating safety from vulnerability. Wrapped in its own handmade blanket, this small creature tucks itself in before sleep, sleeping in the bright silence of the underwater world beneath the gentle swing of the coral. It's oddly relatable. A second pair of jaws is located inside the throat of moray eels. One of the most unexpected innovations of evolution is a second pair of jaws called pharyngeal jaws, which are concealed within the moray eel's sinuous body. They wait while seated deep in the throat. These inner jaws leap forward, seize the struggling meal, and draw it back into the throat when the eel's outer jaws catch it. In the sea, the double jaw mechanism that was so memorably envisioned in the science fiction film Alien is really real. Because of this adaptation, morays are able to cling to slippery fish in coral reefs' confined spaces, where suction feeding would be impossible. It's both fascinating and unsettling to watch them feed. A quick, synchronized mouth-to-mouth dance. They appear frightening due to their lengthy, serpentine shapes and pointed teeth. However, the majority of morays are timid, avoiding divers and sleeping in cracks throughout the day. The motionless shadows of the reef are ancient, graceful predators. The legs of sea spiders are capable of carrying their organs. The sea spider appears fragile, resembling a glass-walking skeleton. These animals are distant relatives of spiders and can be found in waters all around the world, from tropical shallows to Antarctic depths. The majority of their important organs, including portions of their reproductive and digestive systems, stretch into their long, spindly legs due to their slender and tiny bodies. With the help of a modest pulse that circulates blood through their slender limbs, this design enables them to remain lightweight and effective. In Arctic seas, where the cold makes it easier for oxygen to dissolve into their bodies, some species reach dinner plate size. On legs that appear too brittle for life, they move across the sea floor. However, they flourish in environments that would kill most other animals. Sea spiders, which are delicate in appearance but strong in spirit, are evidence that strength and delicacy may coexist. Some squid have the ability to create living light displays on their skin. Under the sea, squid are the masters of illusion. Millions of specialized cells, known as chromatophores, iridophores, and leucophores, are embedded in their skin. Each has a unique method of reflecting or absorbing light. A squid can instantly alter its color by constricting or extending these cells, creating flashing patterns that spread like liquid fire throughout its body. This is how some creatures communicate, coordinating movements or warning rivals with color pulses. To blend in with the glimmer of light filtered through the waves above, some use it to disappear. Bioluminescent squid, which create their own light through chemical processes, give another layer to the deep water. As a result, the night itself appears to have learned to dance, creating a vibrant, living show of color and radiance. Art and survival combine in their glowing skin, creating a sight that is both biological and magical. To defend their snouts, dolphins utilize sponges and other items. Researchers have observed untamed dolphins utilizing tools to accomplish an incredible feat in the shallow seas of Shark Bay, Australia. Some females gather marine sponges from the seafloor and cover their beaks with them, which act as soft gloves. They look for buried fish by probing the sandy bottom with their organic sponges. Their delicate skin is shielded from stings and scrapes by the cushion. The fact that this behavior isn't automatic is amazing. Mother to kid, generation after generation, learns and transmits it. Scientists refer to the dolphins who engage in it as sponges, a distinct cultural group. This implies that dolphin society has customs and information that are passed down across families, changing our perception of animal intelligence. These slick, laughing animals demonstrate to us that culture, inventiveness, and curiosity are not just human. The living sea is interlaced with them. Whales cannot dive as deep as leatherback turtles. The largest of all turtles with a physique designed for the wide ocean, the leatherback sea turtle is a giant of endurance. It can dive deeper than almost any other air-breathing animal, occasionally reaching depths of over 4,000 feet because of its leathery carapace, which flexes under pressure, unlike its hard-shelled siblings. It hunts jellyfish, its throat equipped with spikes pointing backwards to hold the slippery prey, and it is a deeper owl than many whales down there in the black cold. The blood chemistry of the leatherback changes to withstand such pressure and cold, preserving oxygen and retaining body heat through strong, steady strokes. A mist of old air, a breath from the bottom of the world, is released when it eventually reaches the top. Even though the leatherback can migrate across oceans, it always ends up on the same beaches where its ancestors spent millions of years building their nests. Like monkeys, seahorses have prehensile tails. The seahorse glides vertically among the rippling grasses with a grace that is almost unnatural. It depends on stillness rather than speed or stealth, unlike most fish. It can grasp and hold because of its prehensile tail, which is coiled like a spring. It attaches itself to seaweed or coral and curls around it with silent strength when the currents surge. This tail's structure is an amazing feat of natural engineering. It's flexible and almost crush-proof because of the interlocking square bony plates. It is studied by engineers to create better protective armor and robotic grips. Over time, the seahorse's delicate body has developed a pattern of strength. It is a creature designed for peace, a master at being motionless in a world that is constantly changing, holding on to its spot amidst the sea's unending sway. Clams have a lifespan of more than 500 years. The ocean quahog spends its long, plodding life in quiet, hidden beneath the sand. Researchers have discovered people who are over 500 years old. Before the Renaissance, seawater was already being filtered by living fossils. Layer by layer, their shells chronicle each year that goes by, much like a tree's rings. On the inside, time seems to drag on, and metabolism slows to a crawl. With each breath, these clams filter enormous volumes of water while feeding on minute plankton. They are some of the most accurate timekeepers on the planet. Centuries of change are encoded in their shells, which retain remnants of past climate patterns. Its polished inside, which conceals generations of patience, shines like mother of pearl when it is opened. There aren't many animals that serve as a stark reminder that endurance is the greatest strength in life, the silent perseverance of an unhurried heart. Some crabs use their claws as flags to draw mates. Sand flickers with movement along tropical coasts. At the entrances to their burrows, male fiddler crabs, each equipped with a single large claw, wave repeatedly to females as they pass. The gestures convey charm, strength, and fitness in surprisingly intricate dances. Like a courtship semaphore, each wave sparkles as it captures the light. Women pay great attention and select the suitor who exhibits the most elegance. The waving changes to combat when rival males approach too closely, with claws slamming into each other like sabers. What guarantees the next generation, however, is the gesture itself, that odd, fragile flag of life. As if every beach had its own song, scientists have found that every species of fiddler crab has a unique beat. The world's oldest waltz is being danced by innumerable small performers in the sand beneath the warm murmur of the tide. Like plants, sea slugs are capable of photosynthetic life. The strength of sunlight itself gives the emerald sea slug, Elysia chlorotica, its unfathomable green glow rather than color. This odd animal incorporates chloroplasts into its own cells by stealing them from the algae it consumes. Like a plant, it uses these stolen pieces to carry out photosynthesis, which converts sunlight into energy. Scientists refer to this combination of plant and animal life as kleptoplasty. The slug may live for months without food by soaking up the light and shining dimly beneath the waves. It can blend in with seaweed thanks to its shimmering green leaf-like body, making it undetectable to predators. This tiny slug, which resides in the middle of a world that is separated into animal, plant, predator, and prey categories, serves as a reminder that evolution is creative rather than strict, erasing borders in ways that are both beautiful and strange. The vision of hammerhead sharks is almost 360 degrees. Until you learn that the hammerhead shark's wide, wing-shaped head is a masterwork of sensory design, it almost seems ludicrous. It has a nearly 360-degree wide field of vision because of those eyes fixed at the far ends of its flattened head. It has simultaneous vision on all sides and above and below. Additionally, the form contains unique sensors that pick up on the weak electric impulses that prey hidden in the sand release. It maps the world in electric whispers by sweeping its head side to side and reading invisible currents. Hammerheads are agile swimmers who glide through warm tropical waters like airplanes, despite their intimidating appearance. They can occasionally move in huge schools through the blue twilight at nightfall. They are sleek, weird, precisely embodied, and precisely tuned to the silent language of the sea. The enormous isopod looks like a deep-sea pillbug, a strangely familiar species resembling a big pill beetle found beneath garden stones is crawling in the dark depths of the ocean floor. The enormous isopod has a maximum length of 1 foot. In the gloom, its armored shell gleamed a pale lavender. It is a scavenger that consumes fish, squid, and whale remnants that fall from the sky. It can survive for years on stored fat and patience because meals are scarce in this cold desert. It consumes till its body swells to its fullest when it does come across a feast. The smallest flicker of bioluminescence is caught by its enormous reflecting eyes. The huge isopod, a survivor of the silent crushing pressure of the deep, appears archaic but is actually totally modern. Even the most exotic forms are echoes of home, as the sea reminds us. Some fish use farts as a means of communication. Certain herring species have evolved an odd way of communicating in coral reefs, where color and noise blend together. They emit gas. Their swim bladders emit delicate, high-pitched sounds that other herring may hear by producing bubbles through their anal ducts. These sounds are referred to by scientists as fast-repeated ticks, or FR. But why they exist is the true enigma. When visibility declines, they are believed to help fish communicate danger or stay together in schools at night. Underwater, the sound carries through the air like a coded whisper and travels a startling distance. It serves as a reminder that there are many different ways that people can communicate in the ocean, from whale melodies to the covert squeaks of gas bubbles at night. In the vast scheme of evolution, even a small amount of flatulence can develop into language. Eels' body chains allow them to conduct electricity. When pursuing or protecting themselves, electric eels have a startling behavior that can occasionally be rather literal. When a number of them congregate in shallow ponds, they might align themselves side by side and release their electric pulses simultaneously. Like a living current, the combined shock is amplified and ripples across the water. This is how observers have witnessed entire schools organizing attacks on swarming fish. An uncommon instance of electrical collaboration. A single eel's body can form a circuit with its prey, causing regulated electrical waves to flow through the victim. With the accuracy of a precisely calibrated instrument, the eel's muscles produce power, the battery of evolution itself. These animals rule their world through invisible fields in the muddy rivers of South America, where sound muffles and sight fails. They weave lightning through water because they are live conductors, Hundreds of babies can be expelled at once by male seahorses. The male seahorse trembles with exertion when it's time to give birth. He flexes his body to expel clouds of tiny seahorses, sometimes hundreds in a single spinning burst, from a tiny pouch on his abdomen. With a nose and curling tail, each little one is an exact duplicate of its parents. The father's job is done when they come out. The infants drift off to confront the emptiness by themselves. A storm of new life scattering into the current like plankton is a wonderful yet sad sight. The weary man rests for days, his pouch empty and white. He sways in the current, prepared to recover in the silent afterbirth of the tide. One of nature's gentlest wonders is to watch those tiny infants whirling upward through shafts of light. Rising from the sea is a constellation of new hearts. For causes that are still unknown, certain rays jump quite high into the air. Manta rays and mobulas have been observed to launch themselves from the water in enormous arcs with their wings spread wide on calm days in tropical oceans. Like a drumbeat, the splash reverberates through the waves. The reason behind their actions is still unknown. According to some experts, it's a sonic signal that can pass through air and water and is used for communication. Some people think it's a form of play, wooing, or parasite removal. For whatever reason, it's a captivating sight. A huge, calm monster that rose from the water as though to taste the air. These rays have a maximum width of 20 feet. They flail like live kites, however, and move with effortless grace. They briefly cross the sea and the sky when they leap, then return to the quiet below, leaving only a growing ring of foam in their wake. An automobile might fit in the mouth of a whale shark. Despite its name, the whale shark is actually the largest fish in the world, and not a whale. Although it exclusively eats plankton, its mouth is more than 5 feet wide and could swallow a small car. It strains out small life things in a leisurely, limitless feast, filtering millions of gallons of water with each languid slide. Its speckled skin is like the sky at night. Like fingerprints, each pattern is distinct. More than dread, divers who swim near it experience a sense of amazement. With the calm of an island in the sea, its enormous body moved. Whale sharks follow the unseen highways of current and temperature as they travel thousands of miles across the oceans. They serve as reminders that strength and stature do not necessarily equate to ferocity. They are giants of peace. The whale shark is a temple of peace in the vast ocean. For cover, some octopuses gather coconut shells. The veined octopus has been seen transporting coconut shells across the sea floor in tropical areas. Scientists could hardly believe it, such a strangely human sight. Like a hermit in a mobile home, the octopus collects the halves, stacks them, and hides inside when danger comes. The only instance of an invertebrate carrying an object for protection in the future is this behavior, which is regarded as true tool use. It's like seeing thought itself in action as you watch one scurry across the sand with its arms wrapped around its valuable cargo. It's a subtle intelligence at work, not instinct, but planning. The octopus departs its sanctuary as the threat passes, only to return later. There is something significant in that seemingly simple gesture. Self-awareness, safety awareness, and future awareness. One shell at a time, a mind is revealed in the shadows. To stay in their social group, clownfish can switch their sex. Clownfish live their lives around anemones, living fortresses whose stinging tentacles deter predators in the vibrant coral gardens of the Pacific. A dominating female, a smaller breeding male, and a number of even smaller non-breeding helpers make up each colony's hierarchy. The male undergoes a total metamorphosis if the female dies. His hormones change, making him the new woman. The cycle continues when the mixed fishing line turns into the new male. The anemone always has a breeding pair because of its adaptability, which maintains the group's stability. It serves as a striking reminder that gender can be flexible in the natural world and is a useful survival strategy. The fish represent the silent adaptability of life, always adjusting and finding equilibrium as they dart between the soft, waving tendrils that shimmer orange and white in the filtered light. To prevent them from separating when they sleep, sea otters hold hands. Wrapped in strands of seaweed, sea otters float on their backs in the cold Pacific kelp forests at night. They frequently connect paws to create soft rafts that float together under the moon. When they sleep, this activity, known as rafting, prevents them from being swept away by currents. The fur of otters is among the densest in the animal kingdom. In order to survive in frigid seas, almost 1 million hairs per square inch trap warm air. They spend hours grooming, using their tiny forepaws to comb air through their coats before they go to sleep. Upon closing their eyes, they bob calmly in the kelp, safe and anchored, with small ripples illuminating their surroundings. In a chilly and moving world, holding hands feels like love, even though it is not affection in the human sense. Squid have the ability to modify their own genetic code. Geneticists have been shocked to learn that some squid can modify their own RNA, the molecular blueprint that instructs cells on how to make proteins. These squid can quickly adjust to changes in temperature, pressure, or habitat because they alter the instructions in their DNA on the fly rather than following the static design. Rewriting the code of life while it is in motion is analogous to this. At this scale, no other complex species is known to be able to perform it. The finding suggests intelligence that goes beyond conduct. The body itself has a molecular intelligence built into it. It might help to explain how squid can survive in such a wide range of environments, from chilly depths to warm shallows. They are editors as well as actors in the grand theater of evolution, constantly changing their biology to fit the moods of the oceans. The body of a sea cucumber can harbor some fish. One of the most peculiar lives in the water is that of the pearlfish. Slim and eel-like, it lives inside the digestive tract of sea cucumbers and enters by the rear entrance to spend the day buried inside their bodies. It seeks refuge from predators there before going out to feed at night. Some species even share a host and live in pairs. Although the arrangement may appear parasitic, many pearlfish only nibble on tissue or tiny particles, causing no harm to their hosts. It appears strange to humans. However, it's only another way of coexisting in the immense network of relationships in the water. A haven of warmth in the frigid abyss, the pearlfish's home is dark, cozy, and protected. It appears that life finds solace in the most unlikely places. Archerfish are able to precisely launch water jets. Archerfish monitor the roots in Southeast Asian mangrove shallows. Their gaze shifted toward the canopy. They aim, correcting for refraction, when they spot an insect sitting on the leaf. The bend of light between water and air. They then launch a water jet so accurate that it knocks the insect into the sea with a quick flick of their tongue and gills. They are incredibly accurate. They can hit moving targets up to a few feet away. Until they understand the mechanics of their environment, young archer fish practice hard and keep missing. Observing them is similar to witnessing the engineers of nature at work, fusing intuition and reasoning into one dazzling performance. Beluga whales are referred to as the ocean's canaries in the frigid northern seas, chatty, gregarious, and insatiably curious. However, they have a unique quality among their various vocal abilities. Some are able to mimic human speech. Divers have reported hearing muffled voices coming from aquarium tanks, only to find that the beluga's shape sounds quite similar to words. It was also possible to record a whale named Knock, making rhythmic bursts that resembled speech. They were so convincing that scientists thought they were human conversations at first. Belugas can precisely alter pitch and tone thanks to their flexible lips and nasal canals. Their sounds reverberate through the ice in the wild, creating a constantly shifting chorus of clicks, whistles, and chaps. According to scientists, they use this vocal range to socially bond and coordinate migration beneath cold oceans. There is more to their mimicking than intelligence. It implies interest in us and a wish to communicate through sound and species. Some shrimp, concealed among sponges and coral branches, shine under ultraviolet light. Some shrimp have secrets that are hidden from view. Their shells glow with brilliant patterns and whirling reds, blues, and greens when exposed to UV light, which we cannot see but other marine life can. Scientists believe that these luminous patterns serve as a covert communication mechanism that uses a private wavelength to warn rivals or notify mates. When seen through filters that simulate shrimp vision, one species, the anemone shrimp, sparkles like stained glass. They disappear into color itself thanks to their concealed luminescence, which enables them to merge in with corals that flew in a similar manner. UV messages abound in the ocean, unseen constellations gleaming just out of reach. These shrimp transform light into words in ways we're only now starting to comprehend, living their lives in that invisible spectrum. Bright whispers of a spectrum designed for other eyes. They glimmer in code in the sun-dappled shallows. An oarfish's length can surpass that of a bus. The oarfish is a legendary creature that glides upright through the deep like a ghostly banner. It is a silver ribbon of life that can reach a length of over 30 feet. Stories about sea serpents emerging from the abyss were sparked by sightings of these sinuous monsters for generations. The truth, however, is far stranger. The oarfish's tiny fins ripple like silk as it travels, making it a gentle plankton eater. It only comes to the surface when it is ill or dying, as it lives in the twilight zone, just below the reach of sunlight. It is one of the longest bony fish on the planet due to its enormous size and shiny skin. Oarfish may sometimes wash ashore before earthquakes, according to scientists, sensitive to changes in the seafloor and tremors. The oarfish, a silvery ribbon that unites myth and reality in the shifting fabric of the water, is a living mystery regardless of whether that legend is true or not. The blue blood of horseshoe crabs is copper-rich. For hundreds of millions of years, horseshoe crabs have been scuttling through the sea along ancient coasts. Because their blood is based on copper rather than iron, it runs blue instead of red. Their hemolymph has a unique tint because of the copper's ability to bind oxygen. However, their blood sensitivity to bacterial poisons is what really sets it apart. Every vaccine is tested for safety in modern medicine using a substance made from the blood of horseshoe crabs. The fourth implant is both surgical and fluid. Sterile medication would be much more hazardous without them. These creatures are benign scavengers that have outlived dinosaurs and continents, despite their alien appearance of hard shells and spiked tails. With the chemistry of survival inscribed in blue, they emerge from the seas beneath the moon every night. The horseshoe crab, an ancient and essential creature, serves as a silent link between the ancient sea and the present. The polarized light that we cannot see is visible to the mantis shrimp. For the mantis shrimp, the realm of color extends well beyond violet, yet to humans, it ends there. These tiny, flaming predators can perceive UV, polarized, and even circularly polarized light, a type of illumination humans hardly comprehend, and have up to 16 different types of photosensors compared to our 3. They are essentially able to sense aspects of light that are not observable to any other species that we are aware of. Because of this ability, they are able to communicate with one another through hidden patterns on their shells that are visible to one another, but invisible to predators. Additionally, it aids them in identifying prey concealed by camouflage or sand. For a mantis shrimp, the ocean must be a living kaleidoscope of angle and sheen, bursting with hues and dimensions beyond the human imagination. Perhaps part of its wonder is that we can only speculate about how the world seems to it. Evidence that perception is never as rich as reality. As they get bigger, certain flatfish move their skulls around. A flatfish has one eye on each side of its head at birth, much like any other fish. But as it expands, an amazing thing occurs. To join the other side, one eye moves across the skull. The bones of the skull move and twist, rearranging themselves until both eyes are facing up. With their superb camouflage against the sand and shade, the fish then settle sideways on the seafloor. With the exception of a fin flick, species like halibut and flounder live their entire lives partially underground. Scientists consider this change to be a masterwork of developmental evolution. An animal will physically change the shape of its body to fit the purpose of its life. The sight of a juvenile's eyes slowly moving across its head is both remarkable and unsettling. A silent transformation from symmetry to silence. Perfection through oddity is the end result. A body that turns into a living reflection of its surroundings. Some sharks are able to recognize heartbeats. One of the great wonders of the ocean is the sixth sense of sharks. Ampullae of Lorenzini are small, gel-filled pores found along its head and snout. Beautiful biological sensors that can pick up even the smallest electrical fields. Even when buried in sand or in complete darkness, a shark may use them to detect the heartbeat of a fish. Electric currents as little as a billionth of the volt size can be detected by some. Because of its sensitivity, the shark perceives the water as a living map, with each organism glowing dimly. This invisible web of electricity is used by hammerheads, great whites, and even small reef sharks for hunting and navigation. They perceive the sea as a landscape of motion and heartbeats that we cannot see or hear, humming with silent signals. Nothing is really hidden in their world. Every living creature is revealed by the water's own rhythm of existence. The majority of Olympic sprinters cannot match tuna's swimming speed. Tuna are muscular, streamlined, fast, and unrelenting. Certain animals can swim for much longer periods of time and at approximately 50 miles per hour, which is quicker than a human sprinting. With retractable fins and a tail that can efficiently slice the sea, their sleek bodies resemble living torpedoes. Tuna, in contrast to most fish, have warm blood, which keeps their muscles warmer for powerful outbursts. In pursuit of schools of prey and temperature changes, they can migrate across entire seas. With oxygen-rich blood built for endurance, even their muscles are red. Observing a school of tuna glint through azure water is like witnessing energy transformed into physical form. They serve as a reminder that life below the waters can be just as graceful as flying birds, fins in place of wings and the limitless blue in place of air. Some squid launch themselves like rockets from the water. The flying squid in the oceans appear to be illogical. They shoot streams out of their siphons to fly through the water when they are threatened or hunting. However, occasionally they go farther. They can shoot themselves into the air and glide dozens of feet above the ground by pointing their jets downward. Water droplets follow them in glistening arcs as their fins expand out like wings. They even control their flight route like birds by fluttering their fins in mid-air, as demonstrated by high-speed cameras. When evading predators or traveling swiftly across open waters, scientists think this strategy conserves energy. Seeing one is like looking at the ocean as it dreams of flying. A creature that tasted the freedom of the sky evolved for water. The boundary between the two worlds disappears during that fleeting glide, and the sea appears to rise, hanging between wind and waves. Dolphins can sleep in a half-awake state. Dolphins, in contrast to humans, cannot afford to lose consciousness. To breathe, they have to come up frequently. Nature, therefore, came up with an amazing compromise. They barely use half of their brain while they sleep. The other hemisphere controls movement and keeps an eye out for danger while the first hemisphere sleeps. Even one eye is kept open by the waking side to look around at the gloomy water. The sides change after a few hours. Dolphins can float through the night in peaceful alertness, always alert but always sleeping, thanks to their unihemispheric slumber. They frequently coordinate this rhythm in pods, serving as sentinels alternately. It's a graceful equilibrium, a way of living where awareness and rest coexist between dreaming and being awake. Partly in the world of slumber, partly in the boundless blue, they move slowly and softly beneath the lunar waves, breathing in time with the tide. Prey that is half its size can be swallowed by gulper eels. One of the most peculiar creatures in the deep sea is the gulper eel. A creature with a mouth far bigger than its body and black velvet skin. Its massive jaw has the ability to expand like a balloon, forming a cavern large enough to swallow prey that is almost half its size. Researchers think it employs this tactic to seize limited food in the nutrient-poor abyss, where every interaction matters. Curious creatures are attracted to the bright lure at the end of its tail, which flickers like a little lamp. The gulper swallows its prey whole as it strikes, expanding its jaws in a quick vacuum. Then, with its stomach shining dimly with bioluminescent microorganisms, it drifts through the darkness once more. Few creatures have a more alien appearance, but they lead simple lives. In the deep calm, a gradual rhythm of light and hunger. Some fish use circular pebbles to construct their nests. Little fish known as cichlids do silent crafts in crystal-clear freshwater streams. Males construct round nests on the riverbank by gathering pebbles one at a time and moving them with their jaws. Frequently symmetrical, the patterns create spirals and ridges that resemble underwater artwork. These buildings are used as breeding grounds. The fish used their design abilities to capture females. The most care is being paid to the most elaborate nests. Researchers using cameras have likened their accuracy to that of human architecture. After spawning, the nest turns into an egg nursery where the male guards the eggs until the fry hatch. Each nest in those softly undulating waters is a stone love letter, demonstrating how nature's design frequently combines beauty and function. Sea snakes' skin allows them to breathe parched air. Sea snakes glide like ribbons of liquid metal through the Indo-Pacific's warm, shallow waters. The capacity to directly absorb oxygen via their skin is a remarkable adaptation that evolution has given them, despite the fact that they are reptiles and must surface to breathe. They can dive for over 30 minutes without coming to the surface because the capillaries lining their scales are so dense that up to 1/3 of their oxygen comes from this source. In order to assist them in controlling buoyancy, their lungs are likewise remarkably lengthy, extending almost the whole length of their bodies. Their shimmering tongues and exquisite looping through coral gardens give them an almost mystical appearance to divers. They are timid and soft, rarely biting until provoked, even though they have strong venom. They breathe through their skins and are perfectly balanced between the two realms of air and sea. All their lives, lobsters continue to develop and molt. Lobsters, in contrast to most animals, continue to develop as they age. They grow, shedding their shells and gaining new layers of armor and muscle every year. According to some experts, if not for illness, trauma, or predators, they may theoretically live forever. An enzyme that repairs DNA and keeps their cells fresh for a far longer period of time than most animals is their secret to perpetual regeneration. There are lobsters in the North Atlantic that appear to be more than a century old, robust and alive. They even regenerate back missing legs or claws when they molt. They become delicate and vulnerable for days as a result of the risky procedure. They are resurrected, bigger, more resilient, and prepared to resume their gradual journey through time once the new shell solidifies. Age is metamorphosis, not decay, beneath the waves. Certain squids have the ability to soar above the water. Some squid use explosive water jets to launch themselves out of the water when they are frightened by predators or pursuing prey. Their arms and fins splayed. They float above the waves for a few seconds, sometimes reaching a distance of over 100 feet, propelled by wind and momentum. They have been observed by shipboard observers, skipping like stones, gleaming in the sunlight before splattering back into the ocean. Compared to swimming, scientists believe this flight uses less energy, a cheap jump that encompasses a lot. They join rays, seagulls, and flying fish in that brief glide between the sea and the sky. Their motions serve as a reminder that the line separating worlds is never completely fixed, and that even deep-sea creatures occasionally surface to taste the air. Walruses scale ice with their tusks. The massive, heavy walrus uses its tusks as tools rather than weapons. Muscles rippling beneath thick folds of skin, it digs those ivory spears into the edge and hauls itself higher when it rests on drifting ice floes. Long canine teeth called tusks are also used for defensive and dominance displays. However, their main objective is to provide useful leverage in a frozen world that is changing. The deep bellows of walruses reverberate throughout the Arctic seas as they dwell in close-knit herds. They eat clams by sucking them clean from their shells after feeling for them with bristling whiskers. They are surprisingly gregarious and kind, caressing and nuzzling despite their size. They exhibit historic resilience as creatures designed for a world of solitude and cold, where tusks serve as ladders to survival. One frequently witnesses them hauling out on ice, steam rising from their warm bodies. The mimic octopus has the ability to mimic other aquatic animals. The mimic octopus, a shapeshifter, inhabits Indonesia's murky estuaries. It can change its body to mimic at least 15 different marine species with remarkable control over the color and texture of its skin. When it feels threatened, it either folds two limbs and swims with the flowing grace of a sea serpent, or spreads its arms and glides like a batfish. It can even expand its banded arms to show off fake spines in order to mimic a lionfish. These disguises don't just happen. The octopus appears to base its mimicry on the predator in the area, picking the illusion that provides the best defense. It is known as behavioral mimicry by scientists. Every movement is infused with intelligence. Observing a mimic octopus is like witnessing the physical manifestation of imagination, an insatiably creative monster that constantly alters its appearance to fit the narrative it must follow in order to survive. Sea anemones are live weapons carried by certain crabs. Boxer crabs clasp small marine adversaries in their claws like pom-poms in a pairing of grace and danger. These live stingers use their poisonous tentacles to fend off predators, acting as both a shield and a sword. The anemones receive free passage across the reef and food scraps in exchange. A crab can gently break the remaining anemone in half if it loses one. The pair is restored when each half grows back into a whole clone. It's fascinating to watch them rhythmically wave their stinging comrades. It's a fusion of biology and dance. The long-standing relationship is a representation of harmony and collaboration in the sea's never-ending conflict. These microscopic crustaceans engage in a ballet of beauty, danger, and survival amidst colorful coral gardens. Harmoniously moving, the enormous squid's tentacles are equipped with hooks. The giant squid lives deep in Antarctic waters, bigger and heavier than the fabled giant squid. In contrast to its northern relative, it has swiveling hooks on its tentacles that can rotate to pierce flesh in addition to suckers. These powerful tools are designed to capture enormous prey, such as Patagonian toothfish, which may weigh hundreds of pounds. However, very little of the enormous squid has ever been spotted alive. Rare captures and scars on sperm whales that chase them are the sources of our information. They may have the largest eyes in the animal kingdom. They are almost the size of dinner plates and are designed to detect bioluminescence that is far below the reach of light. This thing is a shadow among shadows, whispering through the frigid darkness with its hooked arms, ruling unseen down there in black quiet. Thousands of liters of water can be filtered daily by sea sponges. Sea sponges are ancient, silent and immovable. They resemble plants more than creatures. They are, nevertheless, some of the earliest multicellular life forms. Through its porous body, a single giant sponge may filter thousands of liters of seawater every day, removing nutrients, bacteria, and plankton. Specialized cells line a maze of microscopic passageways and chambers within, beating their flagella to create a mild internal current. By doing this, sponges recycle nutrients that are vital to coral reefs and maintain the clarity of ocean water. Some species slowly develop into enormous reef-like formations over the course of their thousands of years of existence. The architecture of ancient seas that shaped the ocean floor's very landscapes is represented by their silica and calcium skeletons. There is motion in their silence, the perseverance of life in their stillness. The sea itself breathes thanks to the patient engineers of the undersea realm. Some fish have no eyes at all and dwell in total darkness. Life has managed to survive without sight in the deepest depths of the sea, far below where sunlight diminishes. Some fish can survive in complete darkness, creatures that have never seen light in their environment. Their eyes have faded over many generations to be replaced by remarkable pressure, vibration, and touch sensitivities. They are able to pick up even the smallest ripple and the smallest water pulse caused by movement. Some can even detect chemical changes or electric fields that are imperceptible to us. It would be a waste of energy to see in these everlasting shadows. Rather, they were given something more delicate by evolution, awareness without eyesight. They move around the world by feeling it rather than seeing it, using a sensitive sense of movement and shape rather than visuals. Their blindness serves as a reminder that even in the absence of light, life will always discover new ways to understand its environment. It is not a loss, but a metamorphosis. The flippers of manatees have fingernails. Like floating clouds of thought, manatees glide slowly and gently through warm coastal seas. You'll notice something oddly familiar if you examine their wide flippers closely. Fingernails are small and rounded. Beneath the epidermis are flipper bones that resemble a human hand, 5 fingers from a land-dwelling ancestor. Tiny remnants of a time when the manatee's kin fed on leaves rather than seagrass can be seen in their nails. These days, manatees eat in calm, shallow waters while navigating and feeding with their flippers, which also hold vegetation. They are patient animals that frequently eat, breathe, and relax in the sunlit water for whole days. Ancient, pointless, and resilient, fingernails seem to be a biological memory that has endured, a whisper from the past. It serves as a reminder that stories are not lost in evolution. It just writes new ones over the existing ones. Dolphins share hunting skills with one another. Dolphins are not only hunters, they acquire knowledge, impart it to others, and transmit it throughout generations. Researchers have found that in some coastal areas, mums teach calves how to utilize sponges as protective gear when foraging. The calves then wear the sponges over their snouts to securely investigate the sandy seabed. Others teach juvenile dolphins how to push fish onto beaches with coordinated waves or crowd them into bait balls. These are not just gut feelings. These are cultural practices that students learn from their teachers. Learning is social, intentional, and active in each situation. Dolphins watch, mimic, and hone their abilities, creating customs that are specific to each community. Before dolphins proved it to be true, it was believed that aquatic species could not sustain regional civilizations. Under the surface, they are instructors and intellectuals in addition to being animals. Living evidence that empathy and intelligence have the power to influence evolution just as profoundly as survival itself. The cookie-cutter shark inflicts round cuts on its victims. The cookie-cutter shark hunts by subtraction deep in the night sea. Measuring barely half a meter in length, it clings to larger animals, such as whales, tuna, and even submarines, and uses its jaw to create flawless rings of flesh. It leaves behind clean, circular, and remarkably consistent wounds that appear to have been created by a machine. This remarkable accuracy is the source of its moniker. The shark conceals its silhouette from below by using bioluminescent camouflage on its underbelly to blend into the dim brightness of moonlit water. An inquisitive fish comes up and hits. With a single spin, its teeth, which resembled serrated scoops, sliced through flesh cleanly. Its prey is not killed. It just swims away after taking a chunk. This little shark, a mastermind of tiny, eerie wounds, survives in a world full of large predators and delicate victims by being efficient rather than large or fast. Some jellyfish die and become small polyps. The majority of animals are born, grow, and eventually die. However, one jellyfish changes that regulation. The immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis doni, has discovered a method to undo the effects of aging. It regenerates itself from the inside out when it is hurt or malnourished, reverting its adult body to a young polyp stage. Every cycle starts over, bringing a body back to its original state of innocence. Its cells can completely switch roles through a process known as transdifferentiation, which permits organs and tissues to be rebuilt as if time had stopped. It seems as though a butterfly could transform back into a caterpillar and begin anew. Researchers believe that this small organism holds the secret to cellular immortality, the regeneration blueprint found in the most basic forms of nature. With a mystery older than memory, the immortal jellyfish drifts silently through the starry ocean. When that life is under danger, it can occasionally become its own beginning. Antifreeze proteins are produced in the blood of Antarctic fish. The majority of fish would solidify from the inside out in the frigid waters surrounding Antarctica, where temperatures frequently fall below freezing. However, the Antarctic notothenoids move through freezing waters with ease. Their blood, which contains a mixture of antifreeze proteins that cling to ice crystals and prevent them from forming, is their secret. They can live in environments colder than ice itself because of this chemical marvel. In the cold depths, their transparent blood, which is devoid of red pigments, transports oxygen slowly but effectively. Their bodies are translucent against the pale blue of the world beneath the ice, and they glide with a calmness that is almost dreamy. For decades, researchers have examined their blood in an effort to modify it for use in organ storage, food preservation, and medicine. The silent resistance of life itself is present in each of these creatures' heartbeats. Chemistry provides warmth, while cold shapes endurance. Barnacle colonies grow on the calluses of certain whales. Humpbacks and grey whales are adorned with the sea itself. They develop massive calluses on their fins and backs, rough areas that quickly give rise to barnacle and small crab populations. While the whale travels thousands of miles across oceans, these hitchhikers adhere quickly and feed on plankton. There is not much harm in the arrangement, from its moving synergy. Like a fingerprint or living map, each whale has a distinct pattern of barnacle clusters that helps researchers identify them from a distance. Each whale is transformed into a floating reef by the barnacles, which gleam pale white against grey skin in the sunlight. As they travel, even their ridges and scars transform into landscapes that sustain life. These ancient giants are not limited to the sea. They take a fragment of it with them, transforming their massive bodies into living ecosystems that traverse the vast blue highways of the earth. Some clams can move by clapping their shells. Scallops sleep peacefully under clear water until danger looms nearby. They then pull off an unexpected trick. They clap their shells together in a quick action, releasing jets of water that push them back through the water. They move quickly and sharply, creating a pattern that is almost musical and makes them flutter like living fans. Dozens of iridescent blue eyes line their shells, sensing motion and light to alert them to potential threats. They open their shells to filter food from the current and settle down on the sand again when the coast is clear. Over the course of their decades-long lifespan, scallops become more vibrant and patterned. A creature without limbs but with great flight ability, swimming through the sea with only the admiration of its own creation, is an elegant example of simplicity. Coral polyps are creatures that quickly construct reefs. Although coral may appear to be made of stone, each structure is living and was created by many tiny coral polyps, each no larger than a rice grain. Underneath these soft-bodied creatures, layer after layer of limestone skeletons are secreted, creating reefs that can extend hundreds of miles. Like slow-moving cities, these colonies emerge from the seafloor over generations. A complex relationship between animal and plant is formed by the polyp, which is home to 25% of all marine animals and hosts microscopic algae that transform sunlight into energy. Corals use their tentacles to catch drifting plankton that is bioluminescent and glowing faintly at night in order to feed. With its rocky growth, each reef serves as a living record of time, documenting variations in temperature and current. Coral is evidence that even the tiniest organisms may create monuments that last long enough to change the course of history when they collaborate over a long period of time. Transparent swimming snails are known as sea angels. Near the poles, in the pure, chilly waters, sea angels are creatures that float like living glass. Relatives of snails, these tiny flying mollusks have shed their shells to gain freedom. Their wings beat with rhythmic beauty as they fly through frigid water, and their bodies are translucent and otherworldly. Sea angels hunt sea butterflies, which are similarly delicate prey, despite their delicate look. They are almost invisible due to their transparent shapes, a flicker of movement amid a limitless blue. Like souls floating in the water, they shimmer with subtle interior colors when sunlight filters through the ice. They are studied by scientists as extreme adaptation cases, creatures with the most delicate balance between survival and beauty. It's like witnessing a dream go through light when you watch a sea angel drift, weightless, eternal, and unhurried. Some fish can see both above and below the water thanks to their four eyes. In Abalpselpes, the four-eyed fish lives close to the surface where air and water combine. Its two eyes are divided horizontally into distinct sections. The lower half is adapted for underwater vision, while the upper part is adapted for airborne vision. The fish can essentially live between two worlds because of this dual perspective, which allows it to locate prey below and keep an eye out for predators above. Its special lenses allow for excellent focus in both environments by bending light differently in each. With eyes that sparkle like gems, schools of these fish glide across the surface of tropical estuaries, constantly juggling several worlds. They have evolved into live bridges connecting the sea and the air, demonstrating the limitless creativity of nature. They simultaneously maintain 2 points of view in their mirrored sight: the black murmur of the deep and the reflection of the sky. In addition to hiding them, octopus ink can make predators less sensitive. An octopus releases a billowing cloud of ink, a shadow created by its own body when it senses danger. However, this goes beyond simple camouflage. Long after the octopus has escaped, the ink's components can confuse a predator by dulling its sense of taste and smell. Some species even mold the ink into ghostly shapes that mimic their own silhouettes, known as decoys. A phantom double is left behind as the octopus takes off in the opposite direction. This defense's chemistry is very old. Human skin and hair are colored by the same pigment, melanin. The end effect is a masterwork of deception. Smoke is a camouflage for sensory sabotage. The octopus vanishes in one heartbeat, a mind and muscle monster that fades into nothingness. It goes beyond simple escape. Water and memory are used to create this artwork. Each eye of a seahorse can move on its own. Drifting among seagrass, the seahorse, upright and delicate, appears almost meditative. However, its glance is its secret. Its big, expressive eyes can all move on their own and simultaneously scan in opposite directions. While one eye looks for meals, the other may keep an eye out for predators. A single mind is fed by 2 points of view. Before it strikes with a lightning-fast snout, both eyes abruptly converge as it locks onto a tiny crustacean, assessing distance with incredible precision. Due to its binocular eyesight, the seahorse has a quiet mastery of observation and almost total knowledge of its environment. Pairs coordinate their motions with their eyes flickering in mirrored patterns, even during courtship. Seeing a seahorse is like witnessing mindfulness in action. Calm, concentrated, yet simultaneously acutely aware of the environment in all directions. After mating with females, male anglerfish get smaller. Finding a mate can be almost impossible in the deep ocean's crushing blackness. Thus, the anglerfish developed a menacing fix. The tiny male bites onto the female's body and combines with her flesh when he encounters her, who is frequently 10 times his size. His body gradually shrinks as his organs dissolve, leaving only his gonads. He is nourished by her blood and becomes an inseparable part of her, existing only to fertilize her eggs. Some females give birth to multiple fused males, each of whom is a tiny living appendage. Reproduction is guaranteed even in the enormous dark abyss thanks to this strange kind of symbiosis. It's a biological love story, not romance as we know it, but the most concrete and unbreakable kind of relationship. A creature drifting in perpetual night, two lives entwined, one fully absorbed into the other. Urine is a means of communication for some lobsters. Chemistry is the medium of discourse on the stony reefs where lobsters dominate. Urine jets are sprayed from apertures close to the antennas of lobsters when they come together, whether to court, compete, or work together. These chemical plumes include intricate details about hierarchy, identity, and emotion. There is less need for physical combat when dominant lobsters create unique signals that indicate strength. Scent trails guide mates together in the dark water during mating, serving as invitations. Even the aroma of familiar people might help lobsters remember them, according to research. Communication turns into perfume in the sea's darkness, where voice carries as sight diminishes. Invisible waves of memory and instinct carry messages instead of words. It is an old, delicate, and completely silent social network that has been inscribed in water. The term living fossil refers to the frilled shark. Like a relic from prehistory, the frilled shark floats across the depths. It resembles a dragon more than a fish because of its long, serpentine body and rows of needle-like teeth. For over 80 million years, this species has endured catastrophic extinctions and continent shifts with little modification. It appears to be swimming through time itself because of its slow, elegant motions and frilly-edged gills, which are the characteristic that gives it its name. The frilled shark, which lives far below the sun, uses lightning-fast lunges to catch fish and squid. With a quick forward extension of its jaw, it can snare prey in a trap of recurved teeth that makes escape impossible. Evolution never had to change the design since it is so flawless. It is like witnessing the past alive and well, unhurried and timeless, as this ancient creature glides across contemporary oceans. Light organs on certain squids draw in prey. Light turns into both a weapon and a temptation in the deep's unending darkness. Bioluminescent bacteria shine in photophores, which are illuminating organs found in many squids. Through a technique known as counter-illumination, they conceal their shadows from predators below by using these lights to either draw in food or blend in with the dim brightness from above. Certain creatures have the ability to flash or dim their lights in intricate patterns to alert predators or other people. They look like floating galaxies of gentle blue and green to the naked eye, like living lamps. Such brilliant tricksters, organisms that learn to live by producing their own light, are abundant in the deep ocean. The darkness comes alive in their light. Each glimmer is the abyss's faint heartbeat. Dolphins play by blowing bubble rings. Intelligence is not always necessary for survival. Some people only exist to make people happy. Underwater, dolphins are known to create flawless, glistening rings of air, revolving halos that rise like silver circles of light. They may swim elegantly through these bubbles, spurt them into smaller ones, or nuzzle them with their snouts. Dolphins pass along the technique from one generation to the next, making it a social game. Beyond intrigue, the joy of control, and the beauty of motion, there is no reward. According to scientists, this conduct shows imagination, curiosity, and awe that are uncommon in the animal kingdom. These animals transform play into poetry beneath the waves by using their breath as art. Their sweetly resonant clicks of laughter serve as a gentle reminder that intelligence also includes joy. Some fish can defrost alive after freezing solid. Some fish live through winters so cold that their bodies freeze solid in polar waters and Arctic lakes. Their hearts stop beating. They get slushy from their blood. They don't die, though. They include unique proteins and carbohydrates that keep life in suspended animation by shielding cells from ice damage. These fish gradually defrost as spring arrives and the water heats, their heartbeats returning as if nothing had occurred. Nature's own form of cryogenic preservation, it's a cycle of eternal sleep. In an effort to exploit their knowledge for space exploration and medical research, scientists investigate these organisms to learn how life may pause and then resume. The fish float still beneath the ice, quietly waiting for the world to awaken. The greatest resilience, the ability to freeze, rest, and then resurrect, lies in their stillness. The algae that lives inside the gigantic clam gives its body a glowing appearance. Giant clams lie like living jewels on the Pacific's coral reefs. Rippling mantles glisten with blue, green, and gold light as their enormous shells spread wide. Millions of microscopic algae that reside inside the clam's flesh are the source of this brilliance. By photosynthesizing in the presence of sunshine, the algae give their host nutrition. In exchange, the clam provides them with refuge, forming a partnership between life and light. To ensure that even the faintest rays of sunlight reach the algae below, special iridescent cells reflect sunlight deep into the tissue. Larger than bathtubs, some huge clams can live for more than a century, and beneath the waves, their brilliant mantles gleam like stained glass. They serve as live windows into the very nature of cooperation. In the warm silence of the sea, two creatures became one and flourished together. Certain shrimp may create sound weapons by snapping their claws. The pistol shrimp, a critter no longer than your finger, dwells in the coral shallows where light dances over sand. One of its claws, which resembles a living cannon, is significantly bigger than the other. It can stun or kill animals with the shockwave it produces when it snaps this claw shut. The little bubble it ejects rapidly bursts. For a brief moment, the implosion generates a small flash of light and reaches temperatures hotter than the sun's surface. This noise reverberates like underwater thunder and is among the loudest produced by any animal. However, the pistol shrimp itself is small, delicate, and timid. It frequently shares burrows with gobies, alerting them to danger in return for protection. It serves as a reminder that even the tiniest creatures are capable of using forces so great that they can alter the water around them. Its power lies not in size but in speed. In the open ocean, sea snakes give birth to live offspring. Sea snakes glide through tropical waters with ease, far from the coast, amidst undulating waves and boundless blue. They never have to go back to the land, unlike their cousins who live on it. Their flattened tails function as paddles, allowing them to move gracefully through the water. They breathe air, yet they can hold their breath for more than an hour. Their ability to give birth to live young in the open ocean is the most amazing of all. Fully developed, little snakes are prepared to swim and hunt independently. Generations can unfold without ever touching soil thanks to this adaptation, which completely releases them from the ground. Occasionally, dozens of embryos are carried by females, each coiled inside like a tiny secret, just waiting to awaken. The newborns stand up to take their first breath, an epoch as old as the sea itself. The ultimate surrender to water is to live and give birth at sea. This is a vow expressed in salt and scales. In their groups, clownfish establish rigid hierarchies. A tiny community of clownfish inhabits each sea's vibrant tangle of tentacles. Vibrant, well-organized, and surprisingly well-behaved. Each group adheres to a strict size-based hierarchy. The largest fish in the bunch, a dominating female, is at the top. One breeding male is below her, and numerous smaller non-breeding males are below them. In the event that the female passes away, the next male in line becomes her new spouse, and the breeding male switches sexes to replace her. Within the constrained space of their anemone home, this arrangement minimizes conflict by ensuring stability and balance. The clownfish keeps it sanitized and parasite-free, and the stinging tentacles of the anemone shield it from predators. It's a complete circle of biology, chemistry, social order, and cooperation. Despite its small size, the planet contains one of nature's most exquisitely harmonious relationships. Jellyfish have intricate nerve nets but no brains. Transparent and calm, a jellyfish is a creature composed of light and water that floats with the stream. It lacks a heart, brain, and bones. Nevertheless, it has remarkably accurate perceptions, movements, and hunting abilities. It has a nerve net, a network of neurons dispersed throughout its gelatinous body in place of the central nervous system. It can simultaneously detect movement, light, and chemical signals from all directions thanks to this decentralized network. It can navigate currents, rapidly react to danger, and constrict its bell in rhythmic pulses. Simple eyes that can detect color and horizon are even present in certain species. Such simplicity may appear archaic to us, yet it is attractive, an entirely functional design. The jellyfish doesn't believe it feels in the dark sea. It moves harmoniously rather than intentionally, as if it were an entity that is perfectly synchronized with the ocean's breathing beat. Lures that hang from their heads are used by certain deep-sea fish. Predators have used light itself as a weapon in the dark abyss where sunshine has never touched. From their heads, tipped with fluorescent lures, several deep-sea species, including the anglerfish, sprout fleshy extensions. These lights pulse softly in the space like stars, driven by symbiotic microbes. The radiance attracts inquisitive prey, and the predator attacks at that very moment. The light disappears, to be replaced by twice as sharp fangs as thin as glass. Illumination is an illusion in this world. Hunger is concealed by beauty. Like a living lantern, some species can even manipulate their light, bending, dimming, or flashing it. The scene appears spectral to the naked eye, a drift of constellations in the dark. Everybody has an open mouth. Even the slightest spark has power in the deep water. In order to breathe while buried in sand, rays have spiracles. Stingrays lie quietly beneath the sandy floors of shabby lagoons encased in a thin layer of silt. However, spiracles, tiny apertures behind their eyes, allow them to breathe even while they are buried. They pull clean water through these secret gills and pass it over their respiratory organs rather than ingesting it through their mouths, which would fill with sand. Because of their straightforward shape, they can stay motionless for hours at a time, saving energy and avoiding predators. The steady rise and fall of sand as they breathe is the only indication that they are there. Their diamond-shaped bodies sliced through the water with ease as they erupted in an elegant swirl of debris when startled. The art of disappearing into the softest element in the world, the spiracle, is a silent wonder of adaptation that turns silence itself into survival. Throughout their lives, sharks replace their teeth thousands of times. A shark's mouth is a spinning blade factory. Numerous rows of replacement teeth are continuously forming inside its gums, progressing like a conveyor belt. It just takes a few days for a new tooth to erupt after a broken or fallen one. Over the course of their lives, certain sharks may lose and grow more than 20,000 teeth. Every tooth is ideally formed for its function. They are needle-like for holding slippery prey and triangular and serrated for cutting. The shark is always prepared for survival thanks to its continual rejuvenation, a design that has been refined over 400 million years. Sharks are also balance keepers, pruning the weak and preserving healthy habitats despite their image as hunters. Their seafloor scattered teeth readily fossilize, little remnants of a masterpiece of evolution that has endured beyond time, empires, and extinctions. To consume prey, certain sea stars have the ability to expel their stomachs. Sea stars feed in a seemingly impossible method. After using their tube feet to pry open a mussel or clam, they insert their stomachs between the shells by pushing them out through their mouths. The prey is broken down just where it is by digestive enzymes. The stomach neatly retracts back inside after the meal is finished. Sea stars may consume prey that is significantly larger than their mouths thanks to this strange mechanism. Certain species can even reconstruct themselves from pieces by growing new arms or body parts. They move slowly, yet they are deceptively patient. Every step they make is purposeful and effective. Sea stars are both gentle and powerful in coral reefs and tidal pools. Evidence that the most amazing abilities are frequently possessed by the quietest species. To hunt, dolphins herd fish into tight balls of bait. Dolphins make hunting into a dance on the broad ocean. They work in groups to drive schools of fish into bait balls, which are tight, swirling masses. While some dolphins jump and slap the surface, confusing the fish with sound and movement, others dive deep, pushing the school upward. They alternately go into the ball after it has formed, catching prey in well-timed bursts. Seabirds join the flurry of movement and light as they dive from above. The degree of cooperation and communication is remarkable. A demonstration of planning and intelligence that rivals any hunt by humans. The sea calms, and the dolphins separate once more after the feast is over, their elegant forms moving in a serene pattern. Instead of chaos, what's left is choreography, a dance of minds that move and think in unison. Instead of dark ink, some squid discharge dazzling ink. Some squids use light rather than darkness to protect themselves in the twilight depths where sunlight diminishes. They emit a ghostly blue-green mist of bioluminescent mucus when they feel threatened. Predators are confused by its brilliant ink, which serves as a decoy and distraction. It must appear to deep-sea organisms like a rapid outburst of stars that vanishes into darkness. Only the glow remains once the squid vanishes in the opposite way. This resistance turns escape into a spectacle. It is uncommon and eerily beautiful. According to scientists, it developed as a defense against predators that use light to hunt, transforming visibility into invisibility. The water creates beauty even while it is in danger. A burst of light that, like a dream vanishing back into darkness, fades into silence. The sea slug known as the leaf sheep resembles a cartoon sheep. In the Indo-Pacific's coral gardens, there is a creature so fanciful it almost appears unreal. Marine slug known as the leaf sheep, not even an inch long. With its black eyes and ear-like rhinophores, it looks like a little green sheep. Its body is coated in appendages that resemble leaves and are packed with chloroplasts, which are the portions of algae that absorb sunlight. These enable the slug to directly produce energy from light through photosynthesis, just like a plant. This living combination of plant and animal gives it its dazzling green hue. The act of stealing light is known to scientists as kleptoplasty. The leaf sheep grazes quietly while floating amid seaweed, blending in well with its glowing home. Observing one is like witnessing evolution's smile, a reminder that there is space for surprise, happiness, and vitality that resembles art even in science. Some fish have suction cup fins that allow them to climb waterfalls. Small goby fish make one of the most amazing voyages in the sea on the volcanic islands of the Pacific. They move upstream into mountain rivers to grow and breed after being born in the ocean. They have to scale waterfalls throughout the route, some of which are hundreds of feet high. They can cling to damp rock and inch upward against roaring water by using suction cup-like fins made from fused pelvic and mouth sections. Days may pass during the ascent, yet they persevere, their small bodies crushed against rock, propelled by endurance and instinct. They mature into adults and are prepared to start the cycle over when they eventually arrive at the pools above. Their trip is a silent victory, evidence that willpower is present in beings as small as a child's hand. Ecosystems are nourished by the nutrient-rich waterfalls that whales produce. It becomes a world unto itself when a whale dies and plunges into the abyss. The large, weighty carcass lands on the ocean floor and gradually changes. Crabs, worms, and hagfish are the first scavengers to arrive, followed by bacteria that consume bones and oils. In the deep, where life is limited, a whale fall provides food and shelter for decades, supporting an entire ecosystem. Hundreds of rare species that only exist on whale falls have been found by scientists, flourishing in this transient paradise. The whale completes a cycle as enormous as its life voyages by feeding life even in death. Its demise marks a beginning rather than an end. One last act of kindness from one of the greatest seafarers. Sharks have denticles, which are small teeth on their skin. A shark's smooth swimming motion conceals a secret. It has tiny teeth all over its skin. These features, known as dermal denticles, let the shark swim more efficiently and silently by lowering drag and turbulence. Water flow is directed across the shark's body by each tentacle, which has the shape of a tiny diamond blade. Engineers have taken inspiration from this design and have imitated its frictionless qualities in swimwear and aviation coatings. This material gives prey armor in the eyes of predators. It provides speed. It feels like sandpaper when you run your hand over a shark's body in the wrong direction. Evidence of the fine artistry of evolution at the lowest scale. The shark has millions of teeth that never bite in every movement. Every one of them honed the poetry of movement itself. Perhaps the most prevalent vertebrate on Earth is the lanternfish. Billions of lanternfish float in sluggish, glowing clouds deep in the ocean's twilight zone. Along its abdomen, each holds a constellation of luminous photophores that emit gentle blue pulses into the darkness. In a vertical movement that influences the planet's carbon cycle, they climb toward the surface each night to eat, and then descend once more by morning. With a combined biomass larger than all terrestrial mammals, scientists think lanternfish may be the most abundant vertebrate species on Earth. Even though they are numerous, they are largely invisible, leading shadowy existences. However, one of the planet's most significant energy exchanges is fueled by their daily migration, which binds the surface to the depths, feeds larger predators, and draws carbon underground. They are the invisible millions that sustain the blue globe, the silent beating heart of the ocean. Certain crabs only inhabit abandoned snail shells. Born without their own shells, hermit crabs are seafaring nomads. They look for vacant snail shells to live in order to survive, selecting ones that are the ideal size for their curving bodies. They have to constantly search, trade, and move on as they become older in order to find new homes. Hermit crabs occasionally congregate and trade shells in systematic chains when resources are limited. The next largest crab is taken by each crab. Its cooperation was a communal survival right that was covered up as disorder. Although their shells shield them from predators, they are still only temporary dwellings taken from the dead. It is similar to observing the sea's everlasting inhabitant, bearing history on its back, never settling, never searching, as a hermit crab darts across the beach, dragging its coiled haven. Young dolphins have been seen learning how to use tools from their parents. Mother dolphins are teachers in some groups. They have been seen teaching calves how to utilize sea sponges as tools in the pristine shallows of Shark Bay, Australia, and covering their snouts with them to shield them from jagged rocks as they forage. Youngsters pick up skills through imitation, performing the act repeatedly until they become proficient. This conduct, which has been passed down through the centuries, is an example of culture and socially, rather than genetically shared knowledge. Tool-using dolphins hunt in a different way and can get food that other dolphins cannot. In this silent revolution of learning, instinct is being replaced by wisdom. Seeing them at work is like seeing a reflection of ourselves, curiosity, patience, and memory, helping to establish the foundations of civilization. There are various sorts of intelligence beneath the waters. However, it seems nearly familiar to the dolphin. Tenderness and thought, encased in play language. Swordfish can improve their vision by heating their eyes and brains. Swordfish are designed to move quickly and accurately. They have an amazing adaptation hidden beneath their long, blade-like bills. They have unique muscles that produce heat around their brain and eyes. In the frigid depths where they hunt, this internal warmth maintains their vision. Even hundreds of feet below the surface, swordfish maintain their alertness and lightning-fast reflexes, while most fish slow down as the temperature drops. Additionally, the heat keeps their retinas from freezing, enabling them to monitor prey with astonishing precision. Such control is rare among creatures. They seem to have a focus-filled furnace inside their skulls. Swordfish cut through the blue with grace and purpose, their bodies designed for movement and their brains heated by fire, their eyes gleaming with the silent genius of evolution. Octopuses can escape by unscrewing jars from the inside. Octopuses are liquid thinkers and experts at solving problems. They have been known to sense each groove in jar lids and turn them with unbelievable accuracy until they release, twisting them open from the inside in aquariums. They are more coordinated than most animals because each of their 8 arms has a little neural system that can function somewhat independently. They learn via play and memory, exploring with curiosity and tasting the world through their senses. They plan escapes from confinement by slipping through openings little bigger than their beaks. Seeing someone solve a challenge is like witnessing intelligence in action, adaptable, imaginative, and incredibly alive. The octopus thinks differently than humans do. It is an alien consciousness wrapped in soft flesh that feels its way through thought and is constantly looking for touch to liberate itself. In the deep water, where red light cannot reach, some fish turn red. Red light disappears first in the abyss of the ocean. Most species cannot see it because it is only a few meters below the surface and is engulfed by darkness. However, some fish have developed the ability to generate their own red bioluminescence, establishing a deep-sea color language. It's invisible ink to them. Most predators cannot see them, but their own kind can clearly see them. This concealed light allows flashlight fish and dragonfish to search and communicate without being detected. Red becomes invisible amid a universe of blues and blacks. Stealth became luminous. It is an odd paradox. A light that's meant to be invisible. These fish move like ghosts, bringing embers down in the silent darkness, speaking via wavelengths that are invisible to the naked eye. The water is now growing still once again as the tides level out and the final waves disappear. The world beneath the sea goes on quietly all around us. The languid gliding of manta rays across moonlit water, the gentle pulse of coral breathing, and the floating plankton glow that resembles tiny moving stars. Every animal, from the biggest whale to the tiniest shrimp, moves in time with the same age-old tune. As steady as a heartbeat, a lullaby as old as mountains. Tonight, you explored worlds of color, quiet, and bioluminescent light, as well as coral towns and freezing seas. You've witnessed lives flourish in the absence of sunlight. Waterborne voices and worlds created via endurance and flexibility. And even now, as you sleep, that hidden ocean is still there, rolling ceaselessly beneath the Earth's surface, enormous, serene, and alive. It is incredibly reassuring to consider that the sea maintains its silent watch while we sleep, eternal, unceasing, and teeming with life that neither rushes nor waits. It serves as a reminder that the world is more complex and vast than we can ever comprehend. Maybe there is a mystery or tale hidden beneath each wave that will be revealed in the morning. Imagine yourself floating in that serene blue when you close your eyes. Just the gentle beat of the waves rushing around you, no sound, no weight. The light turns silver above. Dim live sparks shine in the blackness below. You are gently carried by the river with no demand or direction, a primordial and limitless source of motion. Breathe as slowly as the tide coming back to shore. Allow your ideas to float beneath the waves like sand, changing with each breath. The water remains boundless, forgiving, and kind. Additionally, you can watch the following video whenever you're ready if you're still awake. However, if sleep has already found you, let it lead you farther, past the light and the waves, into the serene center of the sea. I hope your dreams tonight follow the water's rhythm. May they gently transport you to the serene locations where wonder never ceases. Good night.